Good morning, everybody. It's barely morning. I have 10 minutes before noon. My goal is to get this video started before 12. So the first of the month is always a lot more work on my end. And so it just takes me a little bit longer to get the slideshow updated and all the notes typed out and all the stuff. So it's done and we're ready to talk to you guys. I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. I know there was a lot of really great Halloween stuff going all over town. We had our Halloween classes here in the studio and they were so much fun. We had, I don't know, 7 different parties going on. It was a busy weekend. It was a great weekend and we're looking forward to kicking off November. So if you're new to us, welcome. We have some new students starting with us in November. And this is maybe the first video that you've seen. So I want to welcome you to the studio and just explain a little bit about what you're going to see here. Every Monday, you're going to get a video from me, and we will talk through what those kids are learning behind closed doors in those classes. Because if your kids are like mine, they come out of class or practice or whatever, and you say, how'd it go? What'd you do? And they're like, good, nothing, art. Yeah, you're like, cool. So I thought I'd give you some behind the scenes. If that's not your vibe, if you're like, no, good, I trust you. They say they're having fun. That's what matters. Then you don't have to watch it. It's fine. But some people like to know, and I am an open book and love to share that information with you. It also helps if you like to ask pointed questions. Tell me how this particular step of your project went today. And then maybe you'll get some more in-depth answers from them. The important parts of the video are going to be the intro and the housekeeping, because that's where we will go over stuff that you need to know as a parent. You maybe don't need to know so much what steps they're doing in their project or what their drawing lesson is going to be. They can just show up. It's fine. We got them. But you're definitely going to want to know registration updates or schedule changes and that kind of stuff. And you'll find that in the intro of the video or the housekeeping. If you're catching the recording, you can always look at the timestamps and just watch the parts of the video that pertain to you. Should we dive in? Starting with the intro, I've got some important notes about the schedule because it's Monday, but it's still October, but it's the first week in November video. What's going on? So today is the 5th Monday of October. Tomorrow is the 5th Tuesday of October. Because of that, we don't have any classes because those multimedia classes and those drawing classes, you guys only meet 4 times a month. And so when there's a 5th, we take it off. My creative explorations, my toddlers, and my preschoolers, you guys meet 3 times a month. You always have an off day. But when there's 5 of them, then you get 2 off days, right? So today is one of those days we don't have class. The next time we see a 5th day will be in January. And instead of taking the last of it off, we take the first of it off and just make our Christmas break a little bit longer. We'll talk about that later. So it is an off day today and tomorrow. There are no classes in the studio. Don't come. Doors will be locked. All of the November classes start on Wednesday. The other note I have, hang on, find my intro. This is the first time in this year that we've got kind of a weird week, right? Because our month starts on a Wednesday. But Miss Allison makes videos on Mondays. So it's going to be kind of weird. And we only have to put up with it for 1 month because it all gets righted again in December. But for the month of November, when you see my videos on Mondays, I am talking to my Wednesday through Tuesday people because our week starts on a Wednesday this month. So for those of you who are watching this video and you're in a Monday class, your week 1 starts next Monday. You will always be 1 week behind the video this month. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. Look at a calendar and let me know if it's confusing. All right, preschool art classes. Let's talk about what you guys are doing. I don't have any examples. I do have a couple pictures from the drawing kids that I'm going to show, but I don't have any examples or in-progress work because everybody took their stuff home. So preschool art classes, you guys did a pattern this coming month, and because we've done dots and circles, and then we've done lines, and now we're going to put those together into patterns. So the theme for the month is understanding patterns as a visual concept. We're going to look at the art of Henry Matisse because he used a lot of great patterns in his work and his paintings. We're also going to work with ink because ink is such a great medium. We're going to use Sumi ink for our project. We'll start those self-portrait projects this coming week in your first session, or if you're in the Monday class, right, or the Tuesday class, it'll be next week, but still in your first week. In your first week, we'll start the self-portrait project. It will take us the entire month to finish that project. They will, they'll be doing pendulum paintings in the preschool classroom as one of the stations. That's one of our most popular stations every year, and we only do it in November because the instructors, it's a lot of setup for us and it's a lot of cleanup for us to get out the paint pendulum, but we do it for our November and it's a fun one. So look forward to that. This week, we'll kick off our month reading the book Ish by Peter H. Reynolds. It's the same author that wrote The Dot. So if you were with us in September and we read The Dot, or if you've been to any of the summer classes and we read Sky Color, those are all by the same author. It's a wonderful, artsy, creative book about a little girl who makes art, but is frustrated by it because the drawings don't look the way they think it should look. And their sibling says to them, but it looks vase-ish. It looks plant-ish. It looks ish. And so the idea of making ish art and how freeing that is. So we're going to make ish art this week. And then you can see the reminder, no class Monday or Tuesday. This Monday, like this week, not next week. Multimedia classes, let's talk through your guys's. So it is also ink month in our multimedia classes. So we're going to be using lots of different types of ink. Our K first and our second thirds are going to do a Sumi ink self-portrait, very similar to what we're doing with the preschoolers, but not on a grand scale. K1s and second thirds, you guys worked really big in September. We're going to bring you down a little bit smaller. We're going to work on a standard 9x12 mixed media sheet of paper. We'll use Sumi ink to make our self-portraits. We'll talk about the aspects of a portrait and get all of that wonderful contour line done in a juicy, buttery Sumi ink. For those of you who don't know what Sumi ink is, think India ink. It's a crushed soot that is mixed with water, so it's water-based, and that has a binder in it. So really, really dark and really, really black, really, really permanent. So wear your old clothes to the studio. They will have 3 steps to their project. First step will be the actual Sumi ink contour of the portrait. The second step, we'll use a different kind of ink. We'll grab those Sharpie markers. We have fine point as well as ultra fine point, and they will work on pattern drawing, filling their backgrounds with patterns. And then in the third week, we'll add color to them. We're going to use our final kind of ink, and that's going to be a washable marker. It's a really fun application where they actually put that onto a plastic, spritz it with water to activate it almost into a liquid ink form, and then press it down. And it makes a beautiful, almost watercolor cloud, but not in watercolors. It'll be a fun project for them. We'll mat those, and they'll be 11x14 standard size when they're done. The 4th and 5th and the homeschool kids are going to be doing a mushroom world. This is a detailed ink drawing that uses scrumbling, stippling, and cross-hatching to make sure we can produce the values that we're looking for. So a lot of the drawing skills that we see in like our Comic 102 class. We're going to be using 2 types of pens. We'll use the ultrafine Sharpies. And then we also use an archival ink pen that comes in different line widths. We call those pens microns because that's the brand that we buy. Kind of like when somebody says Kleenex and they mean facial tissue, right? Like, so we call them microns. That's actually the brand name, but they're archival ink pens, and they come in all sorts of different widths. The kids will get introduced to that, as well as the way that we make values with inks. We're going to work small because we only have 2 weeks to draw, because and we're going to talk about what fun stuff's going to happen in our 3rd week, but we're only going to draw for 2 weeks. This week they'll get their the concept started and the brainstorming and hopefully the pencil drawing, and next week they'll finish all the drawing. Like all of the inking has to be done in 2 weeks, because in the 3rd week we're going to do another ink application to finish it, but instead of painting on the paper, we're going to paint on the glass of a frame. So theirs will get framed, again, small, 5x7, because the feedback we got from last year was 8x10 is too big. And especially in November and detailed ink drawings, we just couldn't get them done. So I'd rather work smaller and make better drawings than work bigger and be rushed. So we're going to work small. I've got smaller frames this year. The glass will get painted with drops of alcohol ink. So instead of being a water-based ink, it's an alcohol-based ink. Again, very, very permanent. So wear your old clothes. We'll drop that onto the glass and then add some isopropyl alcohol to get that to move really fluidly. And then we light it on fire. and we burn off all of the alcohol. It dries the ink pigment to the glass, and then we'll put them together. So the flowy ink drawing kind of floats on top of the picture behind it. It's a really cool effect. This will be the 3rd or 4th year that we've done that project, and it's a big hit every time. So their first 2 weeks, this week and next week, weeks 1 and weeks 2, will be simply drawing with the pens, and then in week 3 is when we'll get the glass out and start firing. Now, with some classes, the bigger ones especially, in week 2, some instructors might have some kids go ahead and do some of the alcoholic firing, just because we do that in small groups. We don't light 14 pieces of glass on fire at once. I'll try to make a video if you haven't seen it. It's really cool. But so there could be a chance in our bigger classes that they do some of the firing in week 2, just to get that done and not be so stressed in the last day trying to get artwork out the door. Our middle school, high school kiddos are doing something very similar. They will still have the frame. They will still have the alcohol ink. We will still light it on fire, and it will be awesome. But their subject is different. What their art is going to be about is different. Rather than being the mushroom worlds, we're going to do those Zentangle animals. Whenever we publish what we're doing, we call it patterns or animals instead of Zentangle, because Zentangle is trademarked. But if you're familiar with what that is, these are like Zentangle inspired. It's not legitimately Zentangles. We don't have the same rules as Zentangles. But it's a very intricate style of filling spaces with patterns. We'll break up the animals into, think tanagrams. Those of you who remember tanagrams. So think of those. We're going to break up the animals like that, and then and fill those spots. So very cool project. They will choose their animal. They will sketch their animal. They will divide it up into shapes, and they will fill it with pattern. Again, you only have 2 weeks to do that. We're working smaller this year so that they can finish. It's one of those things that, and when we're going to talk about December schedule, we're paring down stuff because overwhelm is not a fun feeling. It's not a fun feeling for adults. It's not a fun feeling for kids. So as a business owner, we want to make sure we give a lot and more and more and more and more and more. But what we've learned, I've learned from other business owners, more is not always better. More is overwhelming. And when people get behind and get overwhelmed, that's not a good feeling. And then that leads to people quitting. And I never want that. So I want to set people up for success. So we're shrinking the size of some of our projects this month so that we prevent that feeling of overwhelm and everybody can be successful with their projects, because it is a crazy month. This is the holiday season. In housekeeping, we're going to talk about it. But for my multimedia students, you'll notice that every time I've explained the project, I've said we've got 3 classes to finish it. That is because Thanksgiving is at the end of our month. So even though everyone's going to have a 4th class, my attendance as we get towards the end of the month really drops off. And so we're gonna do a like for that last class of the month, for that 4th class is going to be a Friendsgiving, open studio style, where we set up creative stations and the kids can come and just enjoy their classmates. Those of you who have been with us for a long time, or even just last year, I guess, we have traditionally done a Bring a Friend week during that week of Thanksgiving, where we allow our current students to bring a friend with them to class. We are at the size where we cannot do that because our classes are full and we can't double our class sizes. I still would like to get to that point where I can find a way to incorporate some sort of bring a friend, but it can't happen in our regular classes. It's going to have to be a special event. That said, we still want to celebrate the friends that are with us in class. And so we're going to do a Friendsgiving with the class itself. So there will be creative stations, kind of holiday themed, not Christmas, but Thanksgiving-y holiday and Friendsgiving holiday themed stations for them to explore for the hour or 90 minutes of their class. It's during their regular class time, but we will hopefully have all of these projects already finished so the kids can just enjoy each other's company. And building community is important. Relating to other artists is important. So that's what we're going to take the time to do in that class. And as a reminder, if you are in a multimedia class that meets on Mondays or meets on Tuesdays, you don't have class tonight and you don't have class tomorrow. November classes start on Wednesday. Let me check my notes and make sure that I did not miss anything. I think that's it. Let's talk through creative explorations. New month, new stations for our creative exploration kids. This is going to be really exciting. Remember that this is the type of class that is a process art class. It is a child-led art class, meaning there is not an instructor standing up saying, hey guys, our benchmark for today is to get this far in our project. Not that. We pull from every single one of our curriculums and we set it up into a station-based learning where the kids can move throughout the room and work on what they'd like to work on. And the instructors, we have 2 instructors during this class, are on site simply to facilitate. So the media focus is Ostumi ink, drawing. The art history focus is the art of Vincent van Gogh. We're going to be working with both his landscapes and his sunflowers. The journaling brings in those landscapes. We'll be working with markers. We have a couple different types of markers in the studio. Actually, we have 3 different types. We have a washable marker, just a broad tip that you're really familiar with, kind of a Crayola brand. We have a dual tip, which usually has a brush on one end as well as a teeny felt tip. And then we have alcoholic markers, which are totally weird and different. I personally haven't had a lot of experience with those, and so I find them very difficult. But most of my comic drawers, and I'm going to show you some examples of their work, love the alcoholic markers. So we'll get out some of those for them to work in their journals and explore different types of ink that way. The collaborative vertical surface brings in the pattern drawing that our preschoolers and all of our multimedia students will be using, which is the Zentangle. Our sensory station brings in a different type of ink. We're going to get out the stamp pads and work with patterns, kind of bringing in some of that preschool and Matisse curriculum. And then our last station is a still life. And I have purchased sunflowers that are not real, that are fake. And we're going to set them up in a vase and the kids can work on a still life, similar to Van Gogh's sunflower painting. If you've ever seen it. Oh, wait, creative exploration kids. Okay, you guys start class this week because we only have this class on Wednesdays and Fridays, Wednesdays in Flatwoods and Fridays in Liberty. So we'll see you this week for class. Your class wraps up before Thanksgiving. Okay, preschoolers are in the same boat. Oh, wait, no, they're not. Drawing classes. Drawing classes. I gotta get my notes out. Drawing 101. It is kind of a food-themed month for our drawing classes, although I guess we do take a break and talk trees, but we're going to start with a food theme. We're going to look at the art of Andy Warhol and do some Campbell soup drawings for a warm-up. Gives us a chance for a practical application of that 3D geometric shape benchmark that we did in September. Remember, we had the cylinders? Yay! Now we're going to apply that with a soup can drawing. So that'll just be the warm-up. I think it's kind of fun and funky. And then their invitation or challenge this week is to do a recipe drawing. So we want them to think of their food that they love, a dish, a meal, something that they love, and then illustrate it. They can illustrate how it's made, the steps that it's used, like to build it. They can illustrate how they like to plate it. They can illustrate that it's a recipe or a kind of a step-by-step drawing that we're looking for from them. And it's working from their imagination. Sometimes we work from life, like when we have the Campbell soup can right in front of us, right? We're working from observation, either from life like that or from a photograph. This one is going to be from our imagination. And then they'll be able to verbalize and share that with us. I think that'll be a really fun one. I got one more thing and I forgot what it was. I guess that's it. So drawing 101 kids. And then as we get further on in the month, we'll talk about them, but they've only got 3 lessons this month as well, because again, that 4th class is going to be the Friendsgiving stations. So they'll also get to explore stations and they're in the fun room. So that should be fun. Our drawing 102 advanced realistic class, they are kind of an autumn or fall themed. So they're going to kick off with landscapes using colored pencils. Gotta double check and make sure it's not chalk pastels. It's not, it's colored pencils. Theirs is also from observation, but we're going to use photographs rather than like taking them outside and drawing from what we actually see. Kind of an in plain air art. We save that for the spring when it's warm out. we'll work from photographic reference this week and colored pencils. This is one of our first lessons with colored pencils with this group. And so they will spend some time using like blending, burnishing techniques, mark making techniques in colored pencil, just so they understand the media. We will work small because that kind of intricate drawing takes time and we want them to be successful. They're not going to finish it anyway, but they should be able to get a good start on it and finish sections of it. And then during our station or our wild card week, they'll be able to go back and revisit if they'd like. Drawing 102, comic and cartoon. So this class works big to small, right? So we started with kind of like the figure in overview, and now we're going to start to drill down on parts of the figure. It's very character focused, very people focused class, because that's what a lot of our comic and our cartoon kids draw, are characters. They're going to take what they learned in figure, but we're going to just focus in on the top part this month, starting with heads. We got to be able to turn the head and understand what happens when it's a 3/4 view, what happens when it's a profile view, what happens when it's straight on, what happens when the head is up, right? What happens when the head is down, or when your viewer moves up or down. So they're going to work on positioning the head in space, and then also positioning your viewer, your perspective of your viewer. So just a head lesson this week. Next week, they'll work on eyes, and then they'll work on noses and mouths as they kind of drill into the portrait or the facial features. Trying to think. And then December is when we get into like hands and feet and hair. And I want to show you 103. So this is the only like fun example stuff I have. But my 103 comic kids knocked it out of the park. Remember, their job was to do a villain showing its power. And then 103 is the drawing class that produces finished artwork. 102, 101 are simply lessons and exercises that take place in a sketchbook. At 103, they are working through a challenge. They're brainstorming from concept all the way to execution to make their art. And so this was their few of their October artworks. Their challenge was a villain, and very character focused, but it needed to be a complete composition, background, everything. So these were some of the finished ones. I've shared them with you as the month has gone on, but they came together very quickly, and I'm like, oh, they missed it because I didn't get to show you finished artwork. But I have pictures because Miss Grace took pictures. So awesome. So these are 103s, and I just wanted to share with you on how awesome those were. Now, my 103 drawing realistic and my 103 comic are starting new projects. Anybody in those classes who didn't take their projects home, feel free to come in for some open studio time. We'd love for you to finish your work. Everybody works at a different pace, and we don't want you to finish the semester and be like, well, I never made anything. Because 103 is supposed to be producing work. If you need more time, we want to give it to you. We exist for time, space, and guidance. That's what we do. We're here to give you time. We're here to give you a space to create. We're here to give you guidance. So use it. That's what you pay for. You can come in for any of those makeup sessions, just reserve a time, or talk to your instructor or talk to me. If those don't work, we can bring you in early. We can't really have you stay late because you're the last class of the night. But you can come in early and you can work. You can work in my office. I don't care. Just come in. Okay. 103 are starting a new project. Our comic and cartoon kids, your challenge, did you choose to accept it, is to create a city scene. So the streets of the city, and we need something happening in that city. Pretty broad. There could be characters, there could be dialogue, there could be action happening, it could be setting a scene. But what we want to see is a city scene that uses 1 point or 2 point perspective. So this week, we're going to do a quick review of those things because it may have been a while since you heard them. So it's good to review. We'll review 1 and 2 point perspective. And they'll spend this week brainstorming and branching out. The The artwork, we're going to encourage our kids to work a little bit smaller this month because it is November. We want them to be successful. So we might start on a 9x12 sheet of paper just for the sketching part and then shrink it down to like a 6x8. So that way we can actually finish the artwork. But that is their, make sure I got that. So we want to get brainstorming and sketching done this week so that we can ink next week and color third week and be done. My 103 realistic, very similar. We are going to work a little bit smaller this month so that the kids can finish. Theirs is a grayscale, so it'll be up to them if they want to work in graphite pencil or if they want to work in charcoal. It's totally a personal preference. Personally, I'm a charcoal girl because I like the black of charcoal instead of the silver of graphite. But everybody has a preference, so we will let them choose. They're going to work from still life. I shouldn't say that. They're going to begin with a still life and then move it to a photographic reference. So they'll have to set up their composition, and they are using candy. I wanted a food item for them, but I didn't want to go basic like bowl of fruit. And I didn't want to go to Campbell's soup yet. We will get to a pop art lesson, but right now I wanted it to be black and white. And so we have candy in all different forms, and they will choose their subject, lay it out into a still life composition, use a viewfinder to determine their composition. Is it a top-down view? Is it a side view? How it's laid out, and then we will snap a picture of it, and they will work from that photograph for the rest of the 3 weeks that they have. This week will simply be determining that composition, getting their photograph done, and getting it started sketching. And then they'll have 2 weeks to finish that drawing. So about 4 hours worth of work, which is, you think it's a long time, but it's not. That's not long at all. All right. I'm just double checking that my notes are done. They are. Oh, it's a lot. Next week, you guys, I'll bring stuff to show you. Let's go over housekeeping. Now, I have a ton of housekeeping stuff. Are you ready? First and foremost, your Thanksgiving schedule. This is the week of 11/20 to 11/24, Monday through Friday. There are no preschool classes this week. There are no creative exploration classes this week. These are our 3-time-a-month classes. We're not meeting. Okay. There are no makeups. And there are no Thursday classes. Obviously no Thursday classes. No makeups on Wednesday in Liberty. No makeups on Friday in Flatwood. For our multimedia and our drawing students, our 4th class is going to be a Friendsgiving. So take a look at that. We'll remind you as we get closer to time. There's nothing you really need to know about that. I'd just like you guys to know and get excited about it. You won't need to bring anything. We'll still have your projects. If you don't finish them, we'll still work on them. Just it's just a fun time. Looking ahead to December, because it'll be here before we know it. Let me get out my notes because we're talking dates and I don't want to mess it up. During Christmas week, Christmas is on a Monday, the 25th to the 29th, no classes at your regular time. Because traditionally we've done regular classes that week, and we would have just moved the Monday classes to a different night and said, hey, Monday people, come join this class. The last 2 years, I can't really count 2020, but the last 2 years, the attendance in that week has been so low, you guys, that it doesn't make sense for us to be here at that time. So we're going to try something new, and we'll see how it works. Rather than coming at your regular class time during that week, we're going to offer an open studio during the day, because maybe we'll get better attendance. But either way, we're just going to shrink the amount of time that we're here, because it's our Christmas break too, and all of our kids are off school, and we like to spend time with our families too. So we're just going to try it. We'll see how it works. We do want to make sure that we give you the opportunity to get your 4th class in. We just We also want to be smart and, you know, use our resources wisely. So we're going to try it out, and I'm open to feedback on how it works. So our open studio style, there's still the arts and PJs. I need to move over so you can see there it is. Made it too long on the PowerPoint. But it's still the art and PJ nights for those of you who have been with us before. It's just not at night. So come in your PJs, and we're gonna have hot cocoa and holiday-y, wintry art stations, and you can just float through them and enjoy the studio time in the community. They will be during the day. I think right now I have them drafted from 11 to 3, just to come and hang out and enjoy. We will have signups as we get closer to time, because what we don't want to have happen is everybody come at 11 and then, I mean, there are 300 of you, so you can't do that. But we'll have signups where we limit it to, like, you know, 20 or 30 people in the building at a time. And then we'll just be here, and as you come in and get to see you. Super chill and fun. Could work. No, I don't know. I always tell my team there's no rules, guys. We can do whatever we want. Let's try it. And then the last thing to just chat about, another thing we're kind of changing up, is the semester registration. This is fall semester, September through December. Spring semester is January through May. We will re-enroll for everybody starting December 1st at 9 a.m. That's when the registration goes live and people can, like, join your class. We always give early access to our current enrolled students. So especially if you're in one of those classes that's full, we don't want you to lose your spot. So we want to give you early access to those links so that you can get signed up. Now, you don't get early access to all the links. You only get early access to the one that you are in, because for the same reason that I wouldn't let you guys go, like, for the same reason I wouldn't let somebody new come and grab a spot in a full class and push off somebody who's currently in class. I can't let somebody switch classes and push off a current student. So what's going to happen here, and I'm going to get them out starting at the end of next week, and it might take me a while to roll them out, but I'll roll them out to you guys so that you can see them. If you are in a class and you're like, I do want to do it, but I would rather switch to this one, you can send me a message. If that class isn't full, I will give you the link, and I will let you sign up to that first. If the class is full, then I can't. I have to give the current enrolled students a chance to go ahead and grab their spots. Now, what you can do is let me know that you're interested, and I will, like, we'll figure it out. Okay, figure it out. I promise. I don't know what that system will be, but I'm going to give myself more time to do it. This is a lot earlier than we've done it in the past. The last couple years, I've given you like 3 days before December 1st, and you only had the links for 3 days. Some of the feedback we got last year said, can we have more time? And I was like, you know, it's no skin off my back. Sure, I'll give them to your light, you know. So I'll get you the links so that you have a good 2 weeks to plus Thanksgiving, which is kind of like a black hole of time. So I don't know if we count that. But you have that time to get signed up. It gives us more time to send reminders or to communicate with people who haven't signed up so that you don't lose your spot in class, because that's what we don't want, is something to just fall through the cracks and then all of a sudden you don't have a spot in the class that you've been in for 4 months. The other thing is, for those of you who are paying monthly, I thought it would be easier to do it now than right before December 1st, because you'll have your December tuition coming up, and I didn't want you to have a double up kind of thing. I'm also looking at considering, and you can send me a message about this, doing Studio Club broken into 2 payments as an option. Because I also know it's that time of year that can be kind of hard, especially if you have more than one kid taking classes. And it's not 4 months, it's 5 months. You have 5 months of tuition, and it's November. So I was thinking of breaking it into 2 payments where you still get the Studio Club rate, but you'll pay part of it now, and then part of it, say, in, I don't know, middle of January, something like that. Maybe even February. Okay. So, but I gotta figure out, I'm sure Sawyer has a way for me to do it. In fact, I know they do. as we did it for summer camp. I just have to do it. So just an update there. You still with me? Because I have 3 notes that didn't even make my printed stuff. So I'll be quick. Okay. Number 1, I posted a couple, maybe it was only a week ago. I can't even remember, about a creative entrepreneur, like business side of art workshop or class. We're going to test it out and do a 1-day workshop rather than an ongoing class. If there's enough interest, I'll add an ongoing class. If there's not enough interest, I will do small group mentorship is kind of my plan. But I do really want to explore this concept with some of our kids who are interested. There's a workshop coming up in 2 weeks. So it is November 12th. It's with me. It's in Liberty. Parents are welcome to join so that you know what's going on. You can find out more information about that. Go to our social media or check out the links in the email. Last 2 things. Holiday gift workshops are filling up. So if you are planning on doing that, make sure you get signed up. And then the last one, the gift guide is coming out on Wednesday. Creative gift guide full of some of our favorite artsy links. So you can grab some of those if you want that. We don't usually send it out to just anybody, but if you want it, I'll get it to you. Okay. That was a lot. Are you tired? I'm tired. Okay, last reminder, don't come to class today or tomorrow because we're not going to be here. Doors will be locked. Signs on the door. November classes start on Wednesday. I'll see you guys in the studio.